And then we have what might be in my top 5 books of 2023 so far. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and today we have a very fun classic booktube video. We are going to be talking about the 9 books that I read in June and July. I think we had a really amazing couple reading months and I am so excited to tell you about all of these books. We had some really good hits. We had only like 1 miss, but it wasn't like the book's fault, it was like the setting I was reading it in. Anyway, so we are going to be talking about the 9 books that I read in June and July. I decided to start lumping the books that I've read in this past month in 2 months, like lumping them every 2 months, because I just feel like it's more fun to talk about like a little bit more books than just a few books, because I only read like maybe like 5 books a month. So this way I can talk about a bunch of books for you during these videos. So starting right off, we have The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book was 5 stars. I loved this book so much. I think I ended up showing you a little bit of me reading it during my, this feels like I read this forever ago, maybe like my screen time video, I'm not sure, or 24-hour reading, I don't know, but it was so good. This tells the story of Evelyn Hugo, who is a famous Hollywood actress, and she's retired now, and she contacts a new journalist, Monique, and wants specifically her, and we don't know why until the last chapter or 2. Simba's being very social right now. But there's a very specific reason why Evelyn wants Monique, and we find that out in the last couple chapters, and it is so good. The reveal, did not see that coming. My mouth dropped open. It's so good. Oh, he's cuddling. I gotta show you him. He wants to cuddle. But anyway, yes, the reveal is so good. Did not see it coming whatsoever. So I give this 5 stars. Goes without saying. I highly recommend this book. Even just like the way that she talks about all of her 7 husbands is just so perfectly old Hollywood, and just highly recommend. So yes, that was our first book, 5 stars. And then we moved into finishing the Summer I Turned Pretty series, which is very fitting considering season 2 just came out. I haven't watched the most recent episode that was released, but I watched the first 3 and I really like it. But this is the 3rd book in the Summer I Turned Pretty series by Jenny Han. I wanted to finish the whole series before season 2 came out, and I did. So I finished this in the beginning of June. It was good. I gave it 4 stars. 3.75 to 4 stars, because honestly, I didn't love how it started out. I was like, that's just, it's not this decision that I would have made if I were in Belly's position. You know, didn't love that part, but the ending redeemed it a little bit. So that got 3.75 to 4 stars. And then we read Happy Place. I am pretty sure this was in my 24-hour reading vlog. 5 stars. 5 billion stars. This book stayed with me. This book stays with me. I think about this book all the time. The way that it was written was just perfect to describe the emotions behind the characters and the relationships. The found family in the friend group was perfect. The past and present was perfect. When Wynn and Harriet were just meeting was perfect. Down to the end. I cried, I laughed, I loved this book. It is Emily Henry's newest release, and it is about Wynn and Harriet, and it's a past and present timeline, and they got together in college. They broke up. They have to do their annual friends get together with their college friends, and they basically are like fake dating during it because they want it to be a really special time because of what one of their friends is going through. So yes, and it's just perfect the way it was described. The friendships in here are amazing. It also deals with, you know, growing apart from friends, just like adult issues that we're all facing in our 20s, and it was just so good. I want to read this book again. It has the best vibes. It's set in like a small town beach town, which I think is like my favorite settings, is small town beach town vibes. I love it. So Happy Place, 6 billion stars. I love this book so much. And then we moved into Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. This is the second book in her Dreamland Billionaire series, and it is Declan and Iris's story. So Declan is the oldest, grumpiest brother, and then Iris is his assistant. And it's basically a marriage of convenience, friends to enemies to lovers. So good. The only thing I didn't love about this book is that Declan is so mean, and he's like not the good kind of grumpy. Like in another book that I'm gonna tell you about, it's like the good kind of grumpy. He's just like mean sometimes and not my vibe and just demanding. I gave it 4 stars because the ending was very cute. Once the romance got started, it was very cute. Not my favorite Dreamland book. I think I like the first one still better, and I think I'm gonna like the final offer, the last one, the best, because that's Cal's story and I hear it's very, very emotional. When Declan did have those emotional moments, it did hit hard because he was so grumpy. So like I get why the author did it, why Lauren Asher did it, but she's just not my kind of vibe, so that's why it wasn't like a 5-star like the fine print. So yeah, that's the second book, and I'm just very excited to get to the third book. And then we have what might be in my top 5 books of 2023 so far, This and Happy Place, Scarred by Emily McIntyre. Do you see all these amazing, beautiful tabbed quotes? And oh my god, this is the second book in the Never After series, which is basically fractured fairy tale reimaginings. It's when the villain is the main character of the story, and it's not a fairy tale. It has a lot of references to whatever fairy tale it is based on. This is Scarred, which is based on The Lion King, and it is my favorite. I loved this book so much. I loved it. I could not put it down. I was so excited to read it, and the quotes in here, the romance in here is amazing. So basically it's about the scarred prince Tristan and then Sarah B, and there's also like a royal romance, which I think I really like the royal romances as well. So basically, Sarah B goes to marry Tristan's brother, Michael, and Michael is like a bad person in this one. He's supposed to represent Mufasa, and then the Scar Prince is supposed to represent Scar. But in this one, Mufasa's the bad guy, and there's this little kid in here that Tristan refers to as his little tiger, and his name's Simon, and it's just so cute. But the kid like made this so much better in this. And then, you know, basically Sarah B goes in with a plan to take down the crown, and then like her and Tristan start getting involved, and it's so good. Down to the end, it felt like I was reading a fantasy at sometimes, which I think is another reason why I really loved it, because I love fantasy romances, but it wasn't a fantasy, it was like a royal retelling, and it was so good. Highly recommend Emily McIntyre if you're into the dark romance books. And I just need to read you like a quote from here. I swear to God, I would give it all up right now if she would promise to be mine. But it's just read this book. It's so good. Just read it. So good. And then we have A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 4th book in the ACOTAR series. I finally picked it up again. Yes, I finished reading the first 3 books like last year, and I just have not read the 4th and 5th book, even though they've been sitting on my shelf like just for months, for a year really. This is the 4th book. This is a novella. I think I gave it like 3.5 to 4 stars because it was basically like a Christmas episode of like your favorite series, but like I get why she had to include it, because they needed something to bridge the gap between A Court of Wings and Ruin and A Court of Silver Flame. So they just needed something to bridge it, and I think that's because the first 3 books were supposed to be a trilogy, and then when she decided to make it more than a trilogy, she needed something to like tell a new storyline. But not too much happens in here. There's not too much drama or anything like that. It's just you're following a few handfuls of point of views of the characters, and just them going through Christmas time. I think if I read it during the winter time, I would have loved it so much better, because the winter vibes are just amazing in this, but I read it when I was on vacation in July. So it wasn't like the ideal setting for me to be reading it. I think I would have enjoyed it so much more if I was in like that winter setting. So I mean, I love this series in general, and it was good, but it wasn't like amazing. I think you should still read it, just because I do feel like it's gonna have to, once I do eventually read A Court of Silver Flames, I feel like it's gonna make sense, things that happen in this book. So yes, that is the next book I read. And then we have The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther, another 5-star summer book. This book was so good. It just has the best summery, beachy vibes. And again, it's like a small town, beach town setting, which I love. And it is about Whit and Meredith. and it has a lot of Taylor Swift references, and I underline them all the time. Like even this, Wit was different though, right? I wasn't clinging to him, it was more like we were tangled together, an invisible string connecting us. Invisible string. It just has so many little Taylor Swift references in it, and oh my god, the reveal at the end. I literally wrote a note where it's like in the last few chapters something is revealed, and then when it was revealed I wrote like go back to page 39. Like literally it was foreshadowed in page 39, but when it was revealed at the very end was just, it was perfect. Seven Broken Rules, I love this. This basically is about Meredith, and she has her family gathering because of a family wedding on an island in Martha's Vineyard, and it's like all of her family and friends are there for her cousin's wedding, but they're dealing with a tragedy because Meredith's sister, Claire, died just like a year or two ago, and it's just like not the same without her, and everything on Martha's Vineyard reminds Meredith of her sister, and it wasn't very sad at some parts, but it was so happy at other parts. The romance is so good. It's not really spicy at all. Wit, I love Wit. He's so sweet. It takes place all within the span of a week, so it feels a little bit insta-lovey, but it also makes sense. And I think I also talked more about this in my last video, my vlog, so if you want more of a detailed explanation on it, go watch that. But 5 stars all the way, maybe 6 stars. It was so good. They also have this little story of like the family plays a game of assassin with water guns every year when they go to Martha's Vineyard, and that just was perfect. The epilogue was perfect. Just, I love this book. Highly recommend you read this book on a beach vacation because it was perfect. And the next book is actually a book that I'm reading on my Kindle, and that is Throttled by Lauren Asher. That is the first book in her Dirty Air series. It's taken me a while to get through. I am probably like 70 or 80% of the way through, which is why I'm including it in this reference, because I'm pretty sure it's gonna be finished by the time the month is over. It's okay. It's about Maya and Noah. It's about the F1 racing, and it's a romance between Maya and Noah. She's a vlogger, which I thought was a really cool little plot that Lauren Asher added in. It's just, I think the romance doesn't hit for me. It's just so physically inclined, if that makes sense. Like there's no deepness to their relationship. It's just like they think the other is just really attractive all the time, and it's just like, I like that like deeper type of romance. So Throttle is not really hitting for me, but I am getting myself through it because I hear the last couple books in the series are perfect. So I am just need to get through this first book and the second book, and then the third and fourth book I heard is very good. Yeah, I mean it's cute. It's like one that I would listen to in like an audiobook or just like when I have nothing else to read. But yeah, just the romance isn't hitting as much for me. I think it's also, I don't want to say it's something mean, but it sort of reads to me like a Wattpad book, if that makes sense. Like they're just so heavy on the physicality and the romance, and there's like one little chapter where it's like surface level emotional. That's like not enough, but Lauren Asher is like, she hasn't mentioned anything else emotional since then, and she just focused on the physicality of everything. So like that's the best I can describe it. Is just like it reads like a Wattpad series where it's like you're dating a famous F1 driver and he's just so attractive, and there's one little bit of emotions in it, but it's, anyway, it's okay. I think it's gonna be like a 3-ish star book. But yeah, that's the 8th book. And then the last book that I am gonna include in this, because again, I think I'm gonna be finishing it, Things You Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I am maybe like a little less than half of the way through, but I am flying through this book. I love this book so much. I get the hype. I get the Lucy Score hype. I get the Things You Never Got Over hype, the Knock 'Em Out series hype. It's so good. It is so good. I couldn't stop reading. I read it on the beach, and I read it when I got home. I just read it a little bit more earlier today. I just couldn't stop reading it. It's about Naomi Witt and Knox Morgan. It's a romance between them, and Naomi finds herself a runaway stranded bride in Knockabout, which is a small town vibe, and then there's Knox Morgan, who is like the grumpy guy that's super attractive. But this is what I mean when I said terms and conditions. Like, Declan isn't my type of grumpy. Knox is my type of grumpy. He is just the perfect grumpy male main character in this. He's grumpy, but he's sweet, and he does thoughtful things, but he won't admit it. But sometimes he'll show Naomi like a little bit of his sentimentality. Again, I'm only a little bit less than halfway through, so I don't know how it goes for the last half of the book, but I am really liking the first half of the book. And it also is fun because Nash is Knox's brother, and Naomi has like an evil twin sister basically, and her sister stole her money, stole her car, and then stranded her in Knockemout, which is a place she's never been before, with her 11-year-old niece. And Naomi is like, I didn't even know that I had a niece, and now I have to take care of her because you just left her here. It's like instant panic. She gets thrown into it. She doesn't know what to do, and she has to get her life together. She just ran away from the altar, and it's so good the way it's written. I love it so much. I am anticipating a 5-star read of this. I really also like seeing how Naomi is making her way through and like winning the hearts of everyone in Knockemout, and then Knox is just holding on to his grumpiness, but he can't deny it, and you can tell he's so protective over her. It's so good. So that is our 9th book that we read for these couple months, and those are all 9 plus Throttle, which I am reading on my Kindle. The 9 books that we read in July and June. We had some really good ones in here, and I just am excited to get into it. I feel like I read a lot of series. Dreamland Billionaire series 1. I need to get in to Wretched, which is the 3rd Never After novel, which is on my TBR for this month, and then Akatar, and then, you know, the Knockemout series. So yeah, those are all the books that we read these last couple months, and let me know what you've been reading. I am having a great couple reading months. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!